Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic and exciting episode of Diversity and Equity Education. My name is the Diva D from Carved Out Divas.
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar, and we're being featured by Teaching for the Culture with Bianca Gooseby.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, good evening and welcome. We are now on for some people, we may have already had conference night. My school is going to have conference night this week. And let's just talk about all things that seem to be happening in this particular week. Let's first start off with let's start off with new walkthrough forms for that are there for teachers. What's your feelings about that, April?
I didn't know it was a new walkthrough form, to be honest. I just thought it was another many of the suggested recommendations that we have received this year in these unprecedented times. So yeah, I have it somewhere. Let me look over here and see. I really didn't even pay it too much attention. I didn't know that's what it was until others have been sharing, meaning other educators have been sharing that that is the new form. When it was presented to us in our PLC, it wasn't presented as such.
It's interesting because speaking of walking through, this week we had something called notices went out to the community, notices went out to parents, and the last on the pecking order was the teachers, and we were notified that there was supposedly a bomb threat in our throughout all the schools in Hillsborough County. And so one of the things that was called to our attention was that they said that they swept through the schools, all schools, and they made note of the fact that the threat was not valid. However, like I said before, I mentioned in terms of sweeping schools, I mean, I didn't particularly see anything special that they did. I didn't see any equipment that was used. I did not see any dogs that they brought out. I didn't see anything in terms of they claim that they were sweeping the school for anything that was harmless. And what disconcerting to me about this is the fact that it feels like our lives are last on the totem pole. Our lives are the very, very least bit of concern. And if they were doing that, they were doing it during the school day, which is around children. So how are we supposed to feel somewhat safe in that environment? What's your thoughts?
I didn't even know I was sweeping until the officer came up the hallway, and he doesn't come down that in that area too often. And he was looking around, and when he looking around, I'm looking around like what we doing? Like what's the problem? He was like, "Oh, I'm just checking the school, just." And when he started looking behind the building, I'm looking behind the building, like, what we doing? He was like, "Oh no, we had an issue this morning. Y'all will be getting notice of it in a little bit." Wait, what? What? We're here already. Like what? So yeah, with the all call of morning announcements, that's where many were presented with the information that there was a bomb threat that was made that morning, is what we were told. But hey,
Right. So
who am I to judge?
right. Like I said, who are we to judge? And
Who
that's
are
what
we to judge?
we are no one to judge. We just basically work here, as a lot of people say. I just work here. But you have to understand the severity of it. I mean, imagine if it was something that was actual right. Okay, it was something that was actual true. So I'm just concerned about the fact that do we really not matter? But you know what? You can answer that question very quickly by looking at what we're seeing happening right now in the society right now, and that is going to be what's happening with our districts in terms of the charter schools, and in terms of the fact that our schools may be, as what was quoted put out there, consolidating to make up for the gaps. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is present everybody with some information, because we don't talk without information. We always have something to not just back it up, but also something to prove that, hey, what we're talking about actually makes sense. So the first thing we need to look at, it would be, one of the first things I want to look at is the list. Just run the list of the charter schools. Just run a list. Let's take a look, for example. And you all remember, this is public information, so you're able to go onto the Hillsborough County School website and just click on there and list out the public schools. And matter of fact, let me tell you what I'm going to do for 2 seconds, since I seem to be having a visual problem. While Bianca pulls that, I'm going to be right back. 2 seconds.
So the question becomes with the high level of conversation that is starting to be surrounded around charter schools. For me, it became a question for me. Is it that we are concerned with charter schools, holistically? Are we concerned with charter schools that are getting ready to be a high influx in the District 5 area, where we know that marginalized communities or families are going to be impacted more so by this more than any other? And within that population, a lot of our children of color are ESC. So are we really concerned more so about that than anything? And it was explained to me that no, that's not necessarily the case. It's more so because it's been brought more into the sunshine, so to speak, at the board meetings where they had a full workshop about it, to where that's where it's more of a conversation lately. And I get it. I mean, my question becomes, where is the same level of energy about a full workshop about charter schools when we had so many schools in District 5 that are not doing well? Where's that same level of energy when it comes to the reading scores? Where's that same level of energy when they are two to three grade levels behind? So my thing is, why not give the charter schools an opportunity to exhibit whether they're going to do something different for those children that are residing in those communities? Is it going to provide them with a better education opportunity, or if not, only thing they could do is go back to their home schools, which sometimes that happens without too much notice when the child does not demonstrate the behaviors that the school deems appropriate. So, but that's a whole nother story, and the dollars does not follow them. So we have had charter schools forever. I didn't know that there was that many in District 5. And from far what I can see is District 2 and District 5 are the heavy hitters with charter schools. District 2 had 13, and if I'm not mistaken, District 5 has 16. So, because I can't see it, it's too small for me on my phone. But the key thing is, you all can see the data there, and the question becomes, okay, the charter schools ideas is here. It's not a question of if they come in. It's not when they're coming. They're here. Roll out August. They are full, ready to roll out their two sites here in Hillsborough County. And there's been some negative um conversation around, the foundation of the leaders for ideas. But again, it can't be any worse, in my opinion, than where we're at. And, there are some, board members that have a high concern with charter schools. But again, in my opinion, yep, charter schools, yep, we need to have the conversation, but have that same energy about the kids that are being disproportionately pushed out of schools when it comes to school to prison pipeline. So at the same point that we're having a conversation on the dais about charter schools, don't forget to address those same marginalized students that that they all are having conversations about. They are also impacted heavily by school to prison pipeline. So, just keep the energy balanced. Don't forget what we identify as talking points during our campaign. And that goes for all of them. Some of them are way too quiet at this time as it relates to what's going on in the district.
Exactly. And what really concerns me too is that, if you're saying we have is it 16, I believe it was, charter schools that are in District 5 alone. Now, remember, the schools aren't just right around the corner. You don't see them right here, even in the East Tab area. Where are the children going? Those children are going to be bussed out. Those are thousands of kids that are going to be bussed out. Now, which means that the connection to their community is going to be lost. And they're going to go to schools where they're going to probably end up being in the minority. Okay. And so when they go to schools like that, are they going to get the services that they need to have? Are they going to have teachers around them that are going to relate to them? I mean, what about now? Remember, if they do get bussed out that far, you're thinking about also what about the fact that, okay, a parent might not be able to come and get that child. So if that school is way out there, when is the parent going to be able to come and pick up that child if there is an emergency or something that's serious that happens? So
I have a question. So are you talking about the closures of the approximately 60 schools that AD has kind of thrown out there, to where the information has been shared with the privy group. That's what you're talking about, those kids. They do realize that that's going to be mostly the inner city schools, right?
Right, but exactly. So remember, this was like what we call complicit gatekeepers, where you have people who have just a little bit of information, who want to, and a small number of people who want to control what happens to the mass amount of people. So understand, and this is the thing that parents are not aware of. You're not aware of the fact that this is happening. I mean, the fact that you're saying you have 16 charter schools in this district alone, and in other districts you have just a few, a scattering, not even a handful in some other districts. Okay, so pay attention, because where are those kids going to go? They're not going to go around the corner from here. They're not going to be right down the street. They're going to be far, and that's lots of
And I
kids.
want
Now,
to know
granted,
why is it such a secret right now? If he knows tentatively who he has in mind for the school closures, that's a lot of schools. 60 schools.
right,
That's a lot of schools.
it is,
Why
and
is it a
what's
secret? Like what?
and,
And especially being that we're not having a board meeting on this upcoming Tuesday. Like, what we doing? Like, if what my grandmother say, pulling the wool over,
and that means you're also tying the principal's hands.
pulling the
You
wool
want
over the sheep's eyes.
Right. You want the principals to have that freedom to have these conversations with their staff, but now you got the principals pitted against the staff, because the staff is sitting there on pins and needles trying to figure out what's true. Am I actually going to be in my school next year? Why bother even send all that paper that says what's your choice for next year? Hell, I don't know what my choice for next year is. Y'all ain't telling us.
And
We
then
don't
there
know.
are some APs that are being told that, oh, by the way, yep, you've been working in this district, and you got to go find your own job if you want to work for the. Like, wait, what? That's not
Right.
how things were normally done. It's like when you come in, there's going to be some growing pains with new leadership. We get that, but damn, you just come in and just act like Debo, where everybody sitting on the side of the porch saying,
Right.
"You doing?"
Right. Leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just don't know. I mean, you're just basically, you have to understand, this didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen over. Somebody knew. Some people are aware, and let's do it like this. I want you to really understand, be very, very crystal clear about this. Okay, if there is, for example, a pothole in the road, and I'm gonna use, the same time I'm so famous for potholes, so I'm gonna use that example. When you got a pothole in the road, and one whole entire maintenance crew knew about the pothole, they circled around the pothole, they drew a circle around the pothole, they put a little couple stones in the pothole. Okay, they knew about it, but they didn't fix it. The brand new maintenance crew done came in, which is what I call it. The brand new administration has come in. You really think that you gonna blame them for the pothole that been there all this time? It been there. That pothole been here. So let's look at it in terms of what happened. We can't blame whoever walking in the door right now. We can blame everybody if they still been there. But if you can't, you're looking at people who just walked in the door right now and then expect them to clean up this mess. Like, it's like the current president. The president has a mess to clean up from the last administration that was here. Think of it in terms of that. Okay, this man got work to do. I know he's gonna be tired. So think about it in terms of that. These people sitting there right now did not spend all this money. Somebody else spent this money. Where they at? How are they gonna help us? And this is real interesting. At the end of all of this, some other people should be also letting go of their jobs, because we all can't sit there and think we did a great job. And I know we should not rate ourselves or give ourselves no little parties and pat in the back for how great of a job we're doing. We can't do that when we broke. You can't say on one side of the table, okay, we're doing a great job, but on the other hand, you're getting ready to sell one of your main assets, the downtown building. Really? Because if I have a yard sale out front, people will ask some questions. Like, you either gonna clean up the house, or you really desperate for some money. Which one is it? I just need to roll some eyes or something. Like, I got my all right here, just right here. There you go. Take flight. Just take flight. Because I'm concerned. I mean, I really am. But going back to that, why are we not having a school board meeting? We talked about that. Anybody know why? I'm just
And that's a big roll your eyes with them about to fall out your head. Don't know about you.
well, right. Just roll it. Anybody?
Could it be we don't want to talk about how they done caught you at that doggone dude? I was just hoping that he was not there without the mask. I'm like, the teachers, look, our colleagues gonna eat him alive. But lo and behold, lo
it's,
and
it's it's
behold,
it's like the do what I say, but not what I do. The rules and the instructions are for you all. They're not for us, the elitists. And it's just like your boy Ted Cruz jumping on the plane, gonna blame it on his children. Talk about yeah, the kids wanted to go on vacation. No, your house was cold. That's what it was. Stop lying. But let me tell you something. I guess what it is that when you've mastered the art of lying for so long, you just don't know how to stop. It's hard to stop when you just then that is your go-to tool. You know how everybody's supposed to have a toolkit, a box of goodies or whatever it is that you're supposed to go to. If you're so accustomed to doing it for so long, it's really hard to stop lying. It must be incredibly hard.
because it's a
Okay.
norm at that point. It's a norm.
Right. I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced. So I mean, so then let's focus on this right here. I muted myself.
It's something weird going on because if I keep touching the mic button, mute myself, it's make well to me it's making me freeze. That's why I have to leave out and come back in. So I'm trying not to do background noise, but something weird is happening. It might be my Wi-Fi.
That's exactly what happened on my side of it too. That's exactly what happened too. So, but that's true. But anyway, so listen. One thing I wanted to jump onto was let's achieve 3,000. So our kids are getting ready to take the FSA, and we're putting a lot of our hopes and dreams into achieve 3,000, especially over here when we're doing the reading department, language arts, things like that. We're noticing that some of the reports and some of the charts and things that we have to use as part of that program are not as good as the former programs that we had before. And once again, this is a problem that we've been having with the district, which is every single time we buy a new program and a new program and a new program, we don't stick to something. We got to stick to one thing, and with the hope and the expectation that it's done with
Oof.
fidelity, so our kids can be all right. But I mean, it's like, and then with this one, it's either one of two ways: either it's too easy, or it's too the reports that come out are just not don't give us enough of the information that we need to continue with the kids with the data. So I mean, I hope with the loss of money that we spent there, that something good does come out of it. But again, we're looking at the fact that our kids have not been in school for a year. And then speaking of kids not being in school for a year, listen, people, parents, school started in August of 2020. Just want to let y'all know that, school did start in August of 2020. We have kids come back to school last week for the very first time. Let me put my finger in the air one time. For the first time since we closed school down in March of 2020. Where your children been? Any thoughts, April? Any ideas?
I don't even know what to say for that because I had quite a few for me short within the last 2 weeks, and I thought they were coming from e-learning, but no, they just haven't been in school. And I'm like, oh my God, do you realize that now you're 2 to 3 grade levels behind? In my head, I'm saying this now equates to probably like 4 to 5 because you've lost a whole year of school. So the frustrations for them are very high for them in the classroom once they, for those that started the previous week, they're very frustrated. And in return, they're already experiencing absences. I'm like, you can't afford any more absences, sweetheart. You got to push through. But I get it. I totally get it.
I absolutely agree, and that's the thing. I mean, I have some kids that are coming back, and I'm like, you miss so much school, and then when they're jumping into the class, they're jumping in terms of we're in the middle, we're deep in the middle of lessons. You popped up a day where we were at least 3 days into a lesson that was started on a Monday. So now you're like so confused. And my concern is that were you if you were home this long, what did it take? Did somebody really have to push extra hard to get you to come back to school? Because and these are the part of that's missing with thousands plus kids that have been missing, they couldn't find. Now what's going to happen to them next year? When are they going to also apply to the charter schools and try to get in, and it will be bust off? They're so far behind. They're so far behind. So parents really be cognizant of the fact that the kids got to be in school and they can't miss any more days. If they come in now, they just showing up to school, and perhaps because, well, paperwork needs to be filled out or something needs to happen why they come back to school. But if they're just coming back right now, they cannot afford to miss any more days of school. And what's really going to be frustrating for them is they're going to come back, and they're going to come back into testing, because that's literally what's been happening. That we 2 days last week we're testing. We had a writing test, and we had the science formative. All that was happening. So understand. So now, as opposed to them being just returning to school, they come back in the midst of testing. We're gonna be testing from now straight till May. So help us by helping them do the right thing, helping them read, helping them just everything they need. You got to support us, and we in turn got to support you. And let's speak about that support. Don't get frustrated with teachers when teachers contact you, when teachers are asking you to help out, when teachers are saying, can you please just check his stuff, just check the bag, or check, because he's saying he does this, he's saying he's turning the work in, and he is not. I'm telling you like this, I don't have his work. I don't have it. Just check. Just help. Help. Help me. That's all I gotta say. April.
We beg and plead for help. I have no reason. I always say this. I have no reason to lie about your child turning in work and saying they didn't do it. I want them to turn in the work. I want them to be great. I want them to succeed. I want to be able to comfortably be able to say if they're not doing all the work, they are exhibiting academic growth by what they are turning in, because I can visibly see that they are demonstrating progress at some point. But if I don't have that, I can't comfortably provide a passing grade. I can't do it. I can't.
And I just keep saying, like, when the parent would say, oh, the child would say, she gave me an F. I said, I have never in my life given anyone an F. What I've done is I've recorded your lack of progress. That's what I've done. I've taken note. That's it. I mean, how could I give you something that,
Every time you say that, I get so tickled. Not to a place to laughing at the kid, but laughing at the fact that you said, I have never given you a grade. I am merely recording your lack of or the demonstration of progress in my class. I love it.
that's all it is. And then just as a reminder, because I really got into one conversation with a parent this week. Look, parents, now I don't know what school your child goes to, but our school is not particularly big. Listen, I don't want to give lessons on how to do wrong, right, but I will say this, okay? If your child gonna skip a class, especially my class is reading and it is rigorous, okay? Don't skip the class. If my class happen to be third period, and your child go to second period, and then go to fourth period, and then go to fifth period, you don't think somebody would have seen it? That's where critical thinking skills comes into play, because clearly I'm going to talk to the people before my class and the people after my class and be like, yo, you see this dude? Please don't defend your child's bad behavior because he was late. You can't be late for 50 minutes. That's all I got to say about that. You just 50 is not late. 50 is skipping. And you have to be aware of the fact that the teacher might be annoying. It might be annoying to hear from the teacher to tell you that, but you have to understand, in that space of time, that child is on my roster. So therefore, that child, I'm responsible for that human being in that space of time. If that child is missing, they're going to come to me saying where that child is. And but I got to be responsible for where that child is. Anything could happen to that child in that space of time. So it's very important that when people are trying to tell you things that are going to be helpful, Just be on the helpful, be in the winning team. We all on the winning team together. We're in a team together, okay? Because these kids in middle school. I mean, let's be real. With our campus, where you gonna go other than the bathroom to hide out for a minute? Might slide into PE because PE got about 60,000 kids in there. But I mean, and if the teacher really ain't paying attention, kids with 60 kids in PE, it's kind of easy to blend in because But come on, man. I know my class is rigorous. I know my class is challenging. It really is because I push them to the limit. But I want excellence, and I'm going to expect that and anticipate that from the kids, and I want them to do the best that they can. We can't be afraid of hard work. So I just I love the babies. That's what I love about them. I love it, and I want them to do well. And hey, while I'm here, let me give you a shout out. Everybody, a shout out. Thank you all so much. We've been doing extremely well with the donations. I know April has the seriously um, for the boxes of food. I received a whole bunch of boxes of food myself between last week and this weekend. So we want to thank you right now. I'll give you a great big shout out. Thank you so much. The donations have been coming in. It's going to be really great for spring break for the kids this year. So really, really do appreciate that.
And I echo what Denise is saying. Denise, I don't really like to get involved with things as such, but those kids, look, all I did was show them what she was doing because they all like, Miss Cobb, who that lady is, who this. And I'm like, that's a friend of mine. She has a mentorship program too. She da. Well, why they collecting? I'm like, listen, that's not my wheelhouse. So, the kids actually came up with that, the cereal I told. We eat cereal all day. We always have milk. We just run out of cereal. I'm like, okay, that sounds easy enough. So there we go. That's how we end up with seriously. It's spring break already. And people been donating so many cereals. They tried to donate. They tried to ship cereal today. Jennings is a no delivery on weekend day. There are facilities that's no delivery on weekend. Amazon, do better because nobody wasn't there to let you in the gate.
And that's funny too because when you said that about the cereal, I was like, I never thought about how the big boxes that they could eat cereal all day. So that was great though. That was great because
A
kids
lot of them do.
yeah, and people gave me cereal to bring to you, so I gave you some cereal as well. So I was like, this
Yes,
is
you did.
great.
And thank you again. Thank you. So Denise and her crew was the first crew to be the first donators to the cereal clan. Yeah, so it was good. It's going to turn out well. I think all the cereal has been purchased. Now it's just a matter of getting some bags to put them in, and that's it. So I'm greatly appreciative. And one thing about it, it's a collective effort, and we are always thankful for the community, being in support of our small acts of kindness that mean greatness for our children. They are just, y'all just don't even understand. But anyhow.
And keep that in mind too. Remember, because they're going if this takeover happens, if we are consolidating all these things like that, you should say to yourself, ask yourself whether or not where my child may end up. Make sure you keep up with those teachers because you want to make sure that there are people that do care about your children. Especially if they're going far away from home, they have to feel some kind of love and support from somewhere, and that's where that cultural competency is going to come into play big time. It's going to come into play big time because I'm telling you, if our children go to a whole nother side of town, somebody has to understand them. And if they come across teachers that don't look like them, are not aware of where they're coming from, and that's gonna be the other thing. If our kids do go chartering in other places, right? Those teachers truly are not going to be familiar with their environment unless they are from these environments. They will not be familiar with their environment. So the divide is going to be even bigger. Even a digital divide will be even bigger. So we're just concerned about that. We know that we want what's best for our children, and parents will always make decisions that they consider that best for their children. However, I'm just concerned about what the district will do that may not be in the best interest of their children. That's what we're looking at overall.
I think they need to go back to having parents being a instrumental voice in all of these decisions that are being made. It seems as though when it's an after effect. The majority of the individuals that this will impact, they're not a part of the conversation. I know there are so many committees that have spiraled out of the new administration that it's unbelievable. You got a committee and a task force for everything. But the question becomes, and it always has been at the forefront of my mind, what are the action items and have there been any implementation up until this point? And it's sad to hear that people that sit on those committees say the same thing. No, it's a redundant meeting. There's no, I don't know why we're meeting, but why do you continue to meet? Why aren't you being vocal about it at that moment? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. But maybe that's just me. But I don't get it. Because I'm a firm believer. I am not meeting about a meeting. And I'm not going to continuously have the same conversation about asking people to do something that they volunteered to do. If you volunteered to do it in excellence. If you volunteered to do it with the understanding that they're as if it's a true job. Because one thing about it is volunteerism is your extension of your everyday works. So therefore, you have to know that that's an extra push, an extra drive. But we get so caught up in titles and who's invited to the meeting and who's doing this and that, whatever. You lose focus on what we're doing. And I think that's what a lot of these task force are. They're just more concerned about being at the table. But what are you doing at the table? Just sitting there? I don't
And
get it.
exactly, because our if you want your community to change and you want your education to change, you want what's better for your children, the people who are the actual major stakeholders need to be involved in all those conversations. Now, I know a lot of times people will say, well, it's hard to get the parents in, but you have to think about what making it convenient for the parents then. I mean, we can't have meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning and they expect a working parent
They
to
don't want
be
us
a
there
part of that.
either.
Right. You expect a working parent to be a part of a conversation about that affects their children. That's just unfair. And that's how you know you're not thinking about as they say, your constituents, your people, whoever's in your community. Because if you got to make it in such a way that people are able to participate, and then the target audience, a lot of times we're missing that target group. I mean, if people will sit down and have conversations with parents, you realize parents want what's best for their children. They really do. They might not be able to know how to express it as best as they can, but they do want what's best. Everybody has best expectations for their children. They really do. And when even the bad, what do you consider a bad kid? Their parents want the best for them too. They send the best that they have. So why not include those people in the conversation? Those are the main people that need to be involved in the conversation. They they have input as to how the school should be run, the hours of the school, the classes that children are taking, all those things like that. Especially in terms of the education that children have. Talk to the teachers, things like that. Like now, what I find interesting is we are having we after all this, we have an in-person conference night. I don't know if you had one, April, but our conference night is in person. And
Ours was virtual. It doesn't make any sense.
I find it interesting that we are having an in-person conference night. Now, the ones who are online, of course, going to have an online but I'm like, okay. So
But
that's
you can make the decision to actually host it virtually. You can
right,
actually inform your parents that you're going to be doing it virtual because
right,
at this
right.
point it definitely is a choice. It is a choice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, but I really do believe that we need to do more to get the stakeholder to get access to this information to the stakeholders, because a lot of them do not have the access. And I think a lot of kids, like this year, like last week, the form went out for the kids to start signing up for those classes for next year. Especially the eighth graders got their choice forms, and the sixth and seventh graders as well. But how many of them are aware of the fact that, well, guess what? Suppose I chose this school and the school get consolidated. Now where do I go? This information needs to be out there. It needs to be out there.
I
It
just
really
hope
should.
that we do more with being proactive in this discussion and remember all those community leaders during time for campaigning and I mean, now is the time to refer back to those same individuals so that they could be vocal about, what's happening in education. Like, I think at this point, we've reached a place of, it sounds like we've been at a moment of silence for a while. It's been real quiet, rolling my eyes.
Where my owl at? Begin my owl. What am I taking flight?
Be- That look like a whole human legs.
I know
Whole
that they
human
can help
legs.
me. The owl leg kill me every time. But you're right because listen, people. If you realize, so you know how people take pride in the schools that they graduated from. They're proud of the fact that, oh, I'm from this school. I went to that school. I went to this school. You're talking about 60 schools, 60, that are possibly on the chopping block because of the actions of the fact that the charter schools are just sucking kids away from the public school. If you're so proud of these schools that we attended, then we should be fighting even harder to retain those schools, to keep those schools up. Now, so now, this leads me to all these very interesting questions about maintenance. This leads me to questions about, since we might have known this was coming, why even bother maintaining the school? Why bother put any money into the air conditioning? Why bother put some money into fixing the what do you call it again? Ventilation systems? Why? Because guess what? If there was a plan behind the plan, it makes sense so we wouldn't fix anything. The real question is now, which schools did receive the funding or did receive what they need to have? So can we look at just maintenance reports and then tally it up? And what would be real interesting to see is if the maintenance reports equate to or the same schools that when the maintenance reports were at are the schools that are being chopped up. That'd be real interesting to see. Because it's like, well, I didn't want to put that much money into this school. Why? They don't need it. And also the question is, what are they going to do
I
with the
don't know why
building?
we was building more schools if we had schools that was utilized. Because the same way they bust inner city kids out, why we didn't bust those kids out of the um um I can the
What areas?
I can't even say the more prominent areas. Why didn't y'all
Right,
bust those kids in? Like,
right,
I don't get it.
right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, but I wonder if those are the parents that spoke up. Those are the parents that said, my children aren't coming in here. My kids ain't coming to the inner city. Because you do have those parent
But our
advocates.
kids don't have a choice, huh? I got you.
Right,
Thank you for clarifying.
right,
You're right.
right. Because the same way you get bussed out, you can get bussed in. Interesting. Mm-hmm. But you don't talk about a diverse curriculum, diverse anything, because you're still separating the kids out. So it's just sad that it's just like this. I mean, we as they say, we see the writing on the wall. And it's important that everyone pays attention to the writing on the wall. Pay attention. Pay attention. But what the worst part about this all is that it's everything is being done in the dark. But just remember, just like my Bible said, what's done in the dark is going to certainly come out to be exposed and be revealed in the light. It will. We can't keep making these little shady decisions and thinking that, well, I'm doing it for the best interest of the kids. Not, are you really? No. Mm-mm. What were you saying, April?
Just agreeing with what you're saying because it's really, you know, disturbing to know that that is very in the near future the reality for these schools to be closed. And we don't know what these schools are, but based upon what we kind of know about these charter schools that are in District 5 that are, getting ready to expand opportunity to many of the kids in the inner city, then the kids that want to remain at their home schools, but they're going to be under utilized by youth, they're at a higher risk of being, closed. And the question becomes, are they closed for a year? Are they closed for an extended period of time? I mean, what depicts when they're going to be reopened? What happened to the teachers? I mean, that might be how he's getting ready to get rid of a lot of, removal, recommending that, what is it, 1,500 teachers or 1,500 more staff be cut. Like, I just don't know the how, because we're already short staffed in the area for wraparound services for the youth. Everyone talks about mental health this, mental health that. The reality is it's just not happening in the schools to the level of, effectiveness to where the youth can truly show a benefit from it. And I can speak for, for my side, because they're stretched thin. They really are. And maybe it's just my school. I don't know, but something indifferent, has to happen. The question becomes of the what. And if the individuals that are making these decisions, are they speaking to the community, those that are in the community that this will impact? And in most cases, no, because they're not from here. They don't know the community. There's no relationships. And they're not
And that
intentional about making them either, because they think the only go to the African American community is NAACP.
right.
They also throw out TOBA, and what was the other and HASB.
And so and agreed. And it's like, if you're not aware of what exists in the community, you think that's all that they really have. But you can't think like that. They can't think like that. So now my thing is too, okay, if you're consolidating, just like you said, you consolidate them, but we already don't have what we need to make it. We don't have enough staff. We need additional resources. We need additional teachers. Right now, we short teachers in our school. And subs, by the way, just one more time, we're gonna tell you, subs ain't coming. Subs ain't coming. Okay. So how is it that we're consolidating, but many schools are still short staffed? So where are we getting? I can't. But we're not chopping from the top. We do understand we're not chopping from the top. Mm-mm. That ain't happening. Mm-mm. So yeah, it ain't happening. It ain't coming from the top. We're not having it. We no look. And if they close the Roadside building downtown, where them people going? So just like we short staff with teachers in
So maybe
school.
they're gonna go to one of the empty schools, because that's what DW Waters was back in the days. It was a site that housed, operations. It was for the what was it, Fiddlers, and then it also housed the teen parent office, and then they use that specific floors for academics for students. So maybe they have that in mind. I'm not sure.
That could be a possibility, because yeah, Waters used to be all three floors were utilized for the school, but now yeah, I think the top floor is virtual school, is virtual school. So it's like that's that might be a possibility of what they're gonna do. But yeah, I don't know. I can't call it. I can't. I really can't. What were you saying?
Oh no, I didn't say anything else. That was it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay, all right.
we are once again in the unknown
Right. And let me tell you, the people
of
out there,
it
if
all.
you know something that we don't know, feel free to share. Now I know I'm going. Let me see. Go back over here. Audra was saying one thing. Let me just jump on the chat just real quick. Hi, Gretchen. How you doing? Gretchen, same thing. Um, she said lots of people will quarantine in Roadside. Really? They will have mass walkouts or quit. Look, Audra says they will have mass walkouts or quit if they announce the closings and those kids still need a teacher until the end of May. You know what? That's a excellent point she made. What if they do make it enough? Like they might not wait till the end of the school year. They might make an announcement early and say, "Look, this school closed down." So how people gonna feel? It's bad enough. There's some people that just don't come to work right now. Is it me?
Yeah, but you can't. I understand what Audra's saying, but
Oh,
that's so unfair to us as educators
yeah.
to not know what plans are being put in place for us without having any input. Like it's insanity. It's just insanity. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have more inconsistencies than a little bit, but expect to be consistent with the students and helping them demonstrate academic growth. But we always receive inconsistency from the top. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
Right. Perfect example of that. Was it last year, the year before, there was a rollout that they want us to do to have the kids for text marking. It was called cubes. I don't know if you all use it in math as well. With the cubes, circle, underline, box, insert. So look, how about, so that was what was rolled out. Then by the end of the year, oh, we shouldn't use that. Doesn't work for the kids. How about right now? They just came back with the same, oh, we should go back to this text marking. I'm like, when y'all You know, I never throw away anything. So I just pulled up, as we were having a conversation, and I'm in our PLC, I pulled the paper out. I said, you mean this paper? The same thing that you told us to stop using 2 years ago? You want to come back to this exact same thing? Because it's all you're doing is showing me the exact same thing. I said, it is sad how we just don't know what we're doing. We don't know. We do not, we don't have a clue. How you expect me to keep things on track? And that's why I should not be evaluated. I should be marked down for nothing. Not at all. Because like I'm doing exactly what y'all tell me to do. And y'all run around in circles, just like this. Circle, just so which is right. Just thank God I know my students because I know what my students will benefit from. But I mean the way y'all so confusing. Anyway, we tired of beating a dead horse. We exhausted. What you say, April? I'm tired. I'm just tired of beating a dead horse. I can't take it
I
no
just want to give a little bit of insight about that new I guess this new observation tool. I hope this is what I'm assuming this is what they're talking about. The one that says 4 principles of excellent instruction observation guide. And then it gives on here the no, somewhat, mostly yes. And is this the one y'all got, Denise?
Yeah, it looks like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean if you're gonna give us a new rubric, it would definitely need to be explained to us in depth. And I'm just trying to figure out, so a child only have English, language, art, and reading, math, science, and social studies. So where are the electives? Where is PE?
Right.
We all collecting them same checks.
Yeah, it's interesting. We all collecting the same checks, but yet reading and math are the two areas where the BAM scores hit the hardest.
Where the money reside? Where the money
Where the money
reside?
resides. Exactly. So wait a minute. How so basically
And when we
the
say where
people.
the money reside, we mean those are the areas where the schools get the
Yep.
score and they get the money. Now we won't get too much cornages from that.
No, we get
Because if
pennies
the
on the
school
dollar.
holistically don't improve, then there's no coinages being passed out.
Pennies on the dollar is what we get. So basically, yeah. So basically, to wrap it up, we're gonna talk about our Sunshine Education Coalition, as we always do, and what our impact, the impact this has, the school to prison pipeline has on the Black male. And we know that tomorrow we actually had a very great month for this month of February, Black History Month. Every single week there was a new topic and a new panel discussion every Monday. So tomorrow, let me pull up my information right here. Tomorrow we have our last panel discussion for the week, and we have some great panelists. But we want you to take a look at this. I don't know if Bianca, if you have the image ready for us to take a look at, so I can go over that real quick. But there you go. Just put this in your mind just for a half a second. This is what our boys face. Everything from choices to deal with gangs. You know, they have to make a decision with their heart or their head. Gun violence, they choose whether money, drugs, girls. Should I get play a sport? Should I get an education? Should I drink? All those things like that. So it's so important that these are the choices that our boys are facing. That's what they're up against. Now the question to you is, what are you doing to help shape any male that's around you, any boy that's in your as we say, your perimeter, or you're in your direct area? We're real concerned. So let's talk about the topic that we have. Thank you, Bianca. The topic that we have for Monday. So week 4, it says education, not incarceration, and we have some excellent panelists that's on this. Wrapping it up right now. And then we're going to start first of all with we have a special appearance by State Representative Fentress Driscoll. And then we have Pastor Hawkins, Kenneth Griffin. We have Tamara Russell. She's a 3rd grade teacher. Donna Cash, as well as we talk about some great panelists. Was Remus Bummer, who's a science and curriculum manager in the East Tampa resident. So just understand, we're going to have that conversation about what the life changes that children will go through if they are incarcerated. What are paths that we could stop them from going down that? What can we do to stop them from going down that particular path? And what can you do as a community member? What can you do as a resident? What is your position on it? That's first of all, where's your heart and your head when it comes to this particular topic? We can't just look at the kids and say, oh, they some bad kids. Well, we all supposed to help out. because this is our future right here. This is our future. April.
And just to kind of, echo what you're saying is that, we brought we did the research. We're currently still doing the research, and we're dedicated to the work to be able to bring the information to the community so that they are aware of what our children are faced with on a day-to-day basis. And that's just the foundational when I say children, all children. And then when we, identify the child or the gender and the race of child that is being impacted the most, it's the Black boy. We only make up a little bit over 20% in this district. However, when it comes to the disproportionality of suspensions or I'm saying or ISS or just disciplinary referrals in general, our children represent well over 48%. I won't get into that. Sometimes it shows 50 plus, and sometimes, so we're just going to give you the average, what we saw, about 48%. How can we represent 48% when we only make up 20% in the district? I don't think we really understand that as a people. And yes, our children, some of them are BAD. They are. But that warrants an opportunity for that behavior to be corrected by providing them with, strategies on and conversations and restorative practices to be able to say, this is not how you're supposed to govern yourself in class. We need you to do X, Y, Z in order to deter you from being put back in the same position at a later time. If we're just suspending and bringing them back, there's going to be no change because the behavior has not been addressed. There's no re-entry process in most schools. I know there was some highlight about the program at McLean Middle at one point, but when we were sitting in the same room and looking at the numbers to show that y'all had the highest suspensions amongst Black boys in the district, but you all talking about a re-entry program, we like, well, who was y'all re-entry? Like, it didn't add up. So we know that there are some great programs, some great things happening, but you have to be able to identify, is it impacting the child that is receiving the short end of the stick all the time? And in most cases, it's a no. We brought forth this series beginning the first week in February. Every Monday, we brought the information. We challenged everyone to go back and look at the panels. We thought we were going to be able to attend the school board meetings twice this month, but unfortunately not. But we will be there at least once a month, every month moving forward, a representative or representation from SEC, because again, this is not a moment, it's a movement for us. We thank all of those that have volunteered to do this work for us, with us. And for those that were not capable of sustaining, that's fine. And we understand that people's positions change, their priorities change, and that's fine. We just understand, we need you to understand that whenever you're ready to come back to do the work is still here. And we welcome you back. But what we can't do is to get so caught up on positions and people to where we get so focused on the people to where the children still takes the fall in all of this. I will not say it again, over and over again. Our children need our support. We have too many leaders that are of color that need to be more vocal about this. This should have never reached this point. And I will be the first to raise my hand. I was part of the problem, because me too, I was living my own life trying to figure it out. But now that we have taken this initiative on, we're not stopping. We're going in every time we get an opportunity. We don't want deflection. We don't want to hear all of the great things that are being done in our district, because we didn't say that they never weren't. What we have said and will continue to say, it's not aggressive enough to change the impact that it's having on the Black boy. Yes, the numbers may be decreasing, but it's also decreasing for the other children. But it's not decreasing at a point to where we represent the minority, but still represent the majority in all of this. So again, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but we need community, parents, leaders, anyone that has, you've been a child once. We need your support in this work. So I'm off my soapbox.
And that was just perfectly well said. And on that note, we'll just wrap it up for the evening. All right. Hey, everybody, I'm the Diva D from Countdown Divas.
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar.
And together we are Diversity and Equity in Education, hosted by the fantastic and phenomenal Bianca Goolsby. And we're here to tell you good night. Like a
See y'all
Pocahontas.
tomorrow.
Bye.